Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to session 5 from First 5 to Forever, Marketing Across Generations Without Stereotypes. We are super excited to have representatives from the University of Kentucky and from CU Boulder joining us for this session. Our first presenter is Danny Martinez. Danny is the program manager for the Forever Buffs digital engagement, where she oversees the Forever Buffs network and creates digital engagement opportunities for alumni. A proud Forever Buff, she is passionate about building community and fostering lifelong alumni relationships. Let's welcome Danny.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to chat with you all today about talking across different alumni segments and some recent changes that we've been doing at CU Boulder. So I'm super excited to talk through some general concepts and then go through some examples as well. A little bit about CU Boulder. So we're Colorado's flagship university. We're the largest of the University of Colorado system. We recently had 10,000 graduates, our highest class ever, join the Forever Buffs family this year. Forever Buffs is a term that I'll be using in my presentation. It encompasses mostly our alumni, but it's also inclusive to mean our students, family members, and friends of the university as well. A little bit more about our CU Boulder Alumni Association. We sit in the advancement division at the University of Colorado, and we are in an alignment with our marketing and communications team that serves all of advancement along with the Alumni Association and our new annual giving team. Importantly, we're also dues free, and more than half of our alumni live outside of the state of Colorado. So something important to us as we consider reaching out to our folks. A little bit about our changing approaches, which I'll be talking about in my presentation. First, I'm going to talk about our advancement continuum, which really represents our lifelong journey of Forever Buffs from the time that they're admitted to the time that they leave our university, and different characteristics that make up times in these different life stages and how our messaging is impacted. I'm also going to talk about tiers that were informed by an external consulting firm and how we use that to segment our audiences. Next, I'm going to talk about how we implemented this specifically in our student engagement strategy. And last, I'm going to go over some examples and key touch points through our Forever Buff signature events. This is an amazing graphic of our advancement continuum, which is how we are now segmenting our audiences. So instead of looking at things like generations, how many years out of school, knowing that life cycles across alumni might look a little bit different. So someone might start off silent, which is that silent buffalo that you see. Here's our alumni that we're not able to contact. Maybe we have an at colorado.edu email with us, but they never look at it anymore. And then they move into becoming more and more involved with CU Boulder, which is how they ultimately end up as a champion. They're invested in CU Boulder and they're giving philanthropically. Something important about this journey is not linear. So someone could be curious about CU Boulder, maybe go through a career life change, and then change paths. But this allows them to re-enter at multiple points. So instead of looking at someone based on who they are, we're looking at how they're involved at CU Boulder, knowing that our goals is not only for them to take an action, but to move through a journey. So a lot of our goals are, how do we get someone who is silent into being aware? And having specific strategies and goals like that have been super, super helpful for our team. Here's a little bit more about the definitions of our advancement continuum. And this was developed by our SEAL committee, which is made up of our senior leadership in our engagement alumni team. So again, someone who is curious might be interested in participating, or philanthropy, maybe they registered for an event, but they didn't attend. Maybe they responded to a survey. So again, it's giving specific actions that we take in our alumni team so that we know where they sit. If they're an active buff, we're going to communicate with them really differently as if they were silent or aware. And of course, giving our champions super special treatment. An example of how we use our advancement continuum in action is a way for us to measure things like event success. So we're able to run our advancement continuum through a specific segmentation of unique alumni IDs. So for example, we had an event, CU in Los Angeles, and we were able to measure how do the registrants of the event look before and after the event. knowing that we had specific impact in things like maybe someone was curious, then they moved into investing. Or maybe someone was aware of CU Boulder and then they moved into active. So this before and after comparison, even though we can't say, 100% certain that our event helped, it is really, really helpful in saying, here's how someone progressed after an event and how our events are making a difference in our life cycles. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about our tiers. And this was informed by a consulting firm, Martz and Lundy. And this is something that we partnered with them with before we were ready to launch our first ever comprehensive campaign. And what we're doing with our tiers is, again, looking beyond how involved someone is to say, how are they having a high propensity for engagement? Are they likely to give? How likely are they to engage? So again, it's multiple demographics, but we're segmenting them based on how they interact with CU and how likely they are to do something. So we identified tier 4 and 5 as being really special groups that we wanted to create special messages around. And by deploying those, we could see, was it helpful to reach out to this tier in a certain way? How can we change our strategies a little bit? So we analyzed specific strategies for a full year. Some really interesting findings that we found in our tier 4. These were our folks that were identified as having a high propensity for engagement and lower capacity to give. So if you're thinking about your own alumni, these are folks who are coming to all your tailgates, all your away games, but they're not quite ready to give a gift quite yet. So we found out that in this tier, only 72% are emailable. So this let us know we can have a specific update your contact campaign at one of our events, for example, having a QR code where someone can let us know a good email to reach them, for example. So again, knowing a little bit more about certain segments was really important for us to know how we can tailor our messaging to them. And this is a lot of numbers, but I'll go very briefly to say that we had strategic efforts to move audiences into deeper, more meaningful engagement and ultimately philanthropy. So again, by categorizing people into certain audiences, we were able to track their journeys across CU in a certain year. We know that this data guides our decisions, but of course, ultimately, relationships remain at the heart of our work. So things like we looked at how they interacted with our full year of audience segmentation. We also employed social media campaigns specifically for them, a special end of year engagement campaign, tailored communications, and then also, like I mentioned, specific update your info campaign. Something funny that happened is one of our sponsors from PSI, he's actually a CU Boulder alum, and he told me he got one of our update your email campaigns and he got a free pair of socks. So he let me know that it's working and he's seeing our social media messages as someone who is maybe unaware and was moved to curious, which was really funny to hear. And of course, while demographics aren't a big proponent of how we segment our audiences at CU Boulder, it was also interesting to see what made up these certain tiers. So we found out that tier 4 is mostly alumni and donors. They're mostly male, above 55, living in Colorado. So just interesting things for us to know. We also were able to look at their digital behavior specifically. So a lot of interesting information, like they're looking at our emails on desktop devices. This lets us know that we want to make sure that our font is inclusive. We know maybe we can add more links or perhaps even video. We also know that they're spending around 8 seconds reading our email, and this lets us know how quick we need to be or when we're needing to highlight text. They also showed a small preference for traditional marketing. So as we talked about earlier, how is print media still worth it? For this group, it happened to be really, really important. And they responded really well because we know that they were looking at our mailers and looking at our QR codes and actually using them. Because we were able to segment folks, we were also able to see what kind of content they were interested in. So this is an example of the different types of content category interests that we use in our Forever Buffs Insider, which is our monthly newsletter. So this group specifically loved Delight, which is our category that had coloring pages that you could print out, our CU Boulder love stories, Miss Peggy, our 100-year-old super fan, and also our cookbook. So this helped inform what content do we need to have more of, maybe what more we can include, and where we could be a little bit more creative. I'm going to skip this slide. Now I'm going to go into our student engagement pipeline and how some of this segmentation also impacted our work here. So similar to our advancement continuum, our goal at CU Boulder is to engage people based on their different life stages that they're at. So if we're looking at our student experience specifically, our entry point is when they're incoming freshmen, the very first week that they're with us on campus. And where are opportunities that the Alumni Association can have a strategic touch point and play a meaningful role in their experience. So their first week on campus, we helped put on Ralphie's Spirit Rodeo in collaboration with our Division of Student Life. And this is where we're tabling, they see our names, they get t-shirts that have our branding on them. So they already know, okay, Forever Buffs. They were helpful, I had a lot of fun with them. So already you're identifying a place where people might be really excited to meet you and they're learning a lot of things. And that's where they see us when they're incoming freshmen. Then we move into engagement. So not only are they seeing our names, they're actually involving themselves in some of our programming. And this is more of our education phase. So we have the Herd Leadership Council, which is a student arm of the Alumni Association. And we do Spirit Days before every home game. We're talking to them, we're sharing our programming opportunities. Usually we partner with our career services as well, letting them know, hey, there's different ways that you can get involved. And even though you might be first year, second year, there's a way that you can be involved with alumni. A lot of that is through our career chats or with our mentorship program that any student can join at any time. As we deepen their engagement, we also start to talk a little bit about philanthropy, which has been one of the biggest changes that CU Boulder has made in the recent years. Our Herd Leadership Council helps run our Nearly Naked Mile, which is an event where students run around CU Boulder in their underwear to donate their clothes to charities nearby. We're also having activations on campus for Buffs All In, which is our annual giving day, where we're educating students about causes that alumni are giving to. So for example, Ralphie, our live mascot program, is one of our most beloved traditions at CU Boulder. And we have a haystack and we say, here's how much money it costs to feed Ralphie and to keep her happy. And all that program is donor funded. So we're already showing them how alumni can stay involved at maybe a little bit of a lower price tag, knowing we're tackling those philanthropy mints, like you don't have to be donating a building to be an engaged alum. Lastly, we're looking at our transitions. So how we're looking at getting them from seniors into engaged alumni. We're looking at here our grad bash, which is their first event where we're welcoming them into the Alumni Association. We also have career pop-up events that we're tabling. We're showing them our resources and the role that alumni can play. And we're also updating our programming for graduating students to ultimately prepare them for alumni life. Something new that we tried this year at all of these events is we had an iPad where in exchange for some CU Boulder themed M&Ms, they could let us know how their interactions with us were shaping their perceptions. So right off the bat, we were asking them, do these experiences and learning more about the Alumni Association make you want to volunteer one day? Would it make you more likely to donate? And we were surprised not only by the number of students who actually took the time to fill it out, but it gave us a good benchmarking to see maybe where we needed more education. But I think overall, we were really proud that we were asking those questions early. One of our biggest takeaways is also that graduation shouldn't be the first time that students are hearing from you. So our goal with a lot of our life stage programming is identifying strategic touch points throughout the student journey where you think alumni can provide support. And a lot of these things are one staff member running a program or collaborating with others. And I think something that I would advocate for is seeing where do you have programming where students are already and alumni can make a meaningful difference. So having alumni engagement and student engagement at the same time, that collaboration for us is fantastic. So again, we're looking at prospective students. Something that I talked about in one of our earlier sessions was our Forever Buffs alumni guides, where we pair incoming students with alumni. So alumni who maybe don't quite see themselves as mentors yet, they could be a guide. They can sign up for an opportunity where they can come to it. They can go to a virtual opportunity and chat with a student just 2 times. So we were getting a lot of questions at these Admitted Students Day events from parents, from students who had a lot of questions about CU Boulder. And we thought, instead of our staff answering all these questions, can we make this a volunteer opportunity for our alumni? For students, we've been implementing more alumni perspectives So for example, our Leadership Council, we have alumni come and chat with them, a lot of them getting opportunities to speak in front of our board. One of our students also received an internship through those conversations, which was a really big win for us. Again, involving them in mentorship, scholarship, and also networking on our digital platform, the Forever Buffs Network. And lastly, for graduating students, we continue to show them how alumni associations is there for them in career resources and mentorship. So not only are they graduating from CU Boulder, they're entering another relationship with us through their support of the Alumni Association. And again, we're showing them that we have value and we're there for them. We're not just going to ask them for money at an event. And here's a picture of our staff members writing letters to our admitted students, letting them know that we're excited to have them. This is an idea that we had from the University of Wyoming. Shout out Wyoming. And then a picture from one of our mentorship programs. And with a lot of these, we really looked at multi-stage recruitment. So again, looking beyond demographics, for a lot of our strategies, if we were to look at just Gen Z, just millennial, we would be missing out on a lot of meaningful interactions. So for example, for our mentorship program, something new that we did this year is we open it up so that anyone could be a mentee. Historically, always looked at mentee as an opportunity for students, but we recognize that a lot of our alumni, or even folks going through career transitions, still needed help from us. So by tailoring our messaging and reaching out to them, we had 100 more alumni participate in the program, knowing that they could participate as mentees. And we did this by having different types of social media. Not only did we share things on our alumni channels, we also collaborated with our student accounts by having things like testimonials and a fun Instagram reel. With a lot of things, we had virtual programming. So as we continue to see with a lot of different life stages, having video accessibility is really important. So having that clear on our website, knowing that maybe someone isn't going to sign up for something if they read about it, they want to hear a story, they want to hear a little bit more information. We also have postering around campus through digital boards, and we figured that this is not only informative for students, but faculty members as well. And a surprise there is that faculty members also signed up to mentor students this year. So again, we're having different messaging for different personas. Maybe someone who's silent, maybe we don't have an updated email address from them, but maybe they heard about us on Instagram. Maybe it's someone who's active, but they didn't realize that this opportunity was inclusive for them. So we switched our programming. And also our champions, folks who are already on things like our Forever Buffs network, letting them in maybe a week or two early so that we can reward them for being super involved with us. Something that's really helpful that I've heard is if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to no one. So this is why segmenting our audiences and changing our messages was really, really important. This is an example of how one email was changed to adhere to different audiences. So these are both for the same program, the Forever Buffs Network Mentorship Program, and they were both going to alumni. But help support your fellow buffs was a call to action specifically for folks who wanted to be mentors. But for a different audience, maybe specifically recent alumni or folks going through career transitions, for them, the same program could be free professional mentoring from CU Boulder, knowing that they could still get help no matter what life stage that they were in. So maybe this is one of the first times that they're hearing from CU Boulder. Hearing that there's a place for them to give and get support was really, really important. So again, messaging here that was different was connect with a Forever Buff mentor, and the other one was to be a mentor. So little tweaks here. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about capitalizing on our signature moments. Here we wanted to showcase a little bit about what we do for commencement. So our new collaboration this year was working with our CU Boulder main page. We were going through some leadership transitions. So as a result, they lean on the Alumni Association team to help a lot with commencement. We had paid social that increased our attendance at events. And something that we saw was a lot of new followers. And I think because of those new collaborations, we were able to use an alumni voice and an alumni perspective into what otherwise might have been a student audience. So we saw a lot of great growth from that and something that we're excited to take into next year. So again, rethinking our voices and our collaboration strategically, especially around big moments like commencement. We also looked at an opportunity where multiple generations might be in one space. So commencement is a time where parents, family, alumni, students are on campus. So what used to be a speech at commencement from our executive director turned into a video that we play at commencement. We share in subsequent emails, and we also have it on our YouTube. And this is an opportunity for not only to have someone from the Alumni Association speak, but to hear from their peers and a message. So we recruit alumni from different life stages. There may be in different areas of the country as well, so people feel seen and represented. So not only is it a great piece of marketing that we use in many different places, it's also an alumni engagement opportunity. So looking back at people that were mentors, they were helping at our events, this is another great way for us to engage with them. And I'm going to play the video and show you what this looks like. So again, why this works is that we're reaching every single graduate who's there. We're creating a memorable experience by having something like a video and what otherwise would be a speech. And then having a narrative that you're joining something instead of joining a family instead of just joining another group.
Congratulations, class of 2026. You've done it.
You've done it.
You've really done it.
My name is Laura Red, and I'm a 2015 graduate living in Denver, Colorado, and I am proud to be a Forever Buff.
What does it mean to be a Forever Buff?
Not only does it mean that you're a CU Boulder grad, it also means that you have an entire alumni network here to support you as you take your next step.
Whether that's finding a mentor to give you tips as you begin your career,
Or learning the best coffee shop in a new city from a fellow CU grad.
Forever Buffs are here for you as you launch your new goals and explore new opportunities.
and so is CU Boulder. The university continues to provide you with valuable resources and meaningful experiences to keep you connected to CU.
You can get post-grad career help and more for life because you're a Forever Buff.
Please know that as you venture out into the world, you are not alone.
You're not alone.
There are over 380,000 Forever Buffs out here with you.
And when you spot one wearing CU Boulder gear, don't forget to say, "Go Buffs."
Go Buffs. I'm proud to be a Forever Buff because the community never leaves you, even if you move out of state.
Because I have been able to return to teach back in the community that fed into me.
Shout out the class of 2026. Because of the community I built and the people I get to call friends.
Because every time I come back to the Mile High, I still feel at home right here at CU Boulder.
Because I've made my best friends through CU.
So this video, we don't reach out to new alumni every single year. We'll usually have little updates here and there. But again, it's a really fun project and a collaboration with our marketing and communications team. So we look at the script and we have a fun collaboration again where we play it during commencement. One last insight that I'll share, messaging matters. I think we've talked throughout this conference about A/B testing and fun ways that you could play with our messaging. So post-graduation, they hear from us one more time, and what otherwise would be another update your contact info campaign, we changed the button. So we look to see, update your contact info and join the alumni family to see what difference that would make. And not surprisingly, joining the alumni family made a bigger difference. So that was another example of how we're leaning into more inclusive storytelling. We're making sure that our messaging is consistent. If we're talking about joining a family in a video, we want to make sure that translates somewhere else. So that was a fun A/B testing that we did. And I think something that will continue in our messaging post-graduation as well. And we also use our video again in this email. So a lot of information. Thank you all for sticking with me. But some key takeaways is that look to segment beyond age. Look at where people are in their alumni life cycle and their life stage. Look at their interests and their locations and segment messages to meet them where they are. And also setting intentional goals. So through our data testing, we were able to see, okay, we're segmenting audiences, but are they moving through that specific journey? Looking at things like post-event and throughout the fiscal year was really, really helpful for us. And again, something that we'll always continue advocating for is that student engagement is a pipeline that's worth investing in, especially if you're looking at it as an opportunity for new alumni to maybe be part of opportunities on campus or through mentorship as well. And lastly, it's an opportunity to rethink signature moments, think how you can be a little bit more creative. Again, how can you involve alumni and welcome people into your next family? So thank you all so much. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Christina.
I just told him to skip bio. So, but I'm Christina Yu. I work for the University of Kentucky. And we're going to talk a little bit about it in more of a technical standpoint, maybe than a marketing or an engagement standpoint. Our team is happy to talk about the other side of it too, but I kind of geeked out on some data for you guys. So I also, this is what I usually do for a bio, so this might work out, but I have a job that's very much duties as assigned. My team would tell you, like, if there's something random, like moving a tree, that's me moving a tree. My first week, I was spraying for bugs. So like literally coming out of COVID, we were outdoor and I had like 2 days into the job, I think, they brought me a pro card and said, go buy bug spray. So duties as assigned in this, but my team, I would say, does everything but club engagement in some form or fashion. But today I really am going to spend more time on the technical side and how we are functioning in it. So University of Kentucky, the Wildcats, I won't read all this, but we are 30,000 plus living alumni. You heard a little bit yesterday when Arkansas was talking about our membership model. So we not only do alumni, we do anybody that gives $75 or more to the university, or if you're a recent grad, $25 or more. So it's a very large footprint for us. And we're 6 years into that model, I believe, in it. And so far seems to be working. And we do partner very closely with philanthropy and alumni engagement as of 2 years ago. So I'm giving examples for both pieces in this as well. All right. So when I first started, there was, and there still is, a lot of conversation about young alumni, the older generation. We have to do things very different from them. We got to figure out, how do you reach the recent grads? How do you reach the 50 years and older graduates? What I'm really going to talk about is we need to reach them where they're at, not based off of when they graduated. And I say that, and I maybe brought a different, I was a 6-year student, so I didn't graduate in 4 years. So when they're talking about my graduation year and I'm this person, I'm like, I wasn't that person. You know, I spent 2 extra years. And if you ever want to know more about that, we can talk more. But I graduated and got the degree, but my experience was completely different than our executive directors. That was 4 years in and out, did all the things. I was 6 years struggling, and I didn't want to talk about the 4 years that were really hard for me, right? First, this last 2 were better. So we have spent in our strategic plans talking a lot about meet them where they're at, regardless of where that is. That could be a geographical thing. That could be where they are in their life cycle. That could be their college. That could be their constituent group. And that's the important part of it, is to make the connection, then to say, you're a 2012 grad. Like, what does that mean to anybody in some ways? Okay, again, won't read slides, but this is where we got there. And what I'm gonna really talk about is how we're using Salesforce and we're using Marketing Cloud and we're using some Einstein AI technology to actually meet people where they're at. How many people are using Marketing Cloud? A decent chunk of you guys. Are you all doing journeys? Love it. That hand went up so quickly about the journeys. They're game changers. If you have Marketing Cloud and are not using journeys, they really are game changers. I would highly recommend getting somebody that can help you build those and getting access to that piece. And we'll see some of this. So Leslie on my team here, membership, she comes up with a lot of really great ideas. Our marketing team does a lot of it. And then I and another colleague usually build the execution of it. So, but between those 3 teams, we have been able to be very creative, I think, in it. Also, a couple of years ago, we were being called spam, which is not fun at all. And basically our tech teams came to us and was like, you're about to pay a lot of money to basically make yourself relevant again. And we were like, no, we're not. We're going to change things. So Marketing Cloud helped us and fixed that for us. So a couple of things that we feel like with Marketing Cloud is the engagement has strengthened. Some of you all probably on the CAMP listserv, there was a question and I talked about our open rates. We have some of the best open rates we've ever seen. We have people engaging with us that we didn't know because we started doing these journeys. I would say at this point, 75% of our emails are in some form or fashion a journey in it. And so it gave us better open rates because what you'll hear me say is send time optimization. So it found you, and I don't know all the technology behind it, to say Christina opens emails at 6 a.m. So we're not going to email her at 5 p.m. We're going to email her at 5:55. So that's the first email at the very top when I wake up, or midnight or whatever it is that you open your emails on. We also decided that we have a ton of email people in our account, and the unengaged folks that were basically just putting us in deleted, going in junk, never engaging us, kept making us have bad scores. And then you have Google and all their new rules. And so we started putting an engagement filter in. The conversation that I had in our office is when you do that, you lose a ton of people. And we did. We lost almost half our people by putting that first filter on, and it was rough. We won't go into those details, but it was rough and a lot of arguing and back and forth. And we used to do it this way, and now we're not. And case metrics are going to be hurt, et cetera, et cetera. So we decided to do a birthday email. Who doesn't love a birthday card? Who doesn't love a birthday piece? It's automated. If we have your birthday in our system, you're getting a happy birthday. Literally that message. Very simple, like Wildcat with balloons. And every January 1, we change that image, tweak the verbiage just a tad bit. Best thing that we can ever send to people. Those folks that were not engaged with us are now getting this email. They're engaging with us, and they're being put into that filter. But they're getting engaged with us at a high level because now they're like, oh man, they remembered my birthday. We didn't remember your birthday. The system remembered your birthday for us, right? And now it's awesome and they reply. Like, I'm shocked. I don't reply to those emails. It's like, great, I got a coupon. Like, they're like, thank you for remembering my birthday. Thank you. Our admin that manages that box is always like, oh my gosh, somebody else replied. And we're like, great, glad we're doing what we need to do, right? In it. We also, our team also does the Giving Day, 1 day for UK. And if you all are doing that too, there's 1,000,001 emails that are going out. And each college wants 7 and blah, blah, blah. And it's like a 3-month process to get them all in. Well, we told them our emails are tanking and you're not allowed to do that. They were mad. They still wanted their 12 emails, I think, to go out. That's something ridiculous. And so we did the Giving Day. We put it in a journey. Depending on who you ask, we feel like it works. They don't feel like it works, but we'll continue that conversation with them as much as possible. But what ended up happening was we sent emails earlier on. And so when Giving Day came, the emails that actually got delivered were people interested in giving. Like the rate of actual getting those open, getting the clicks, taking the action to give was better. Our rates look better because they've engaged in 3 other ways prior. So they are in a funnel now that says, I'm interested in Giving Day. The other folks, they dropped out. And I don't honestly care that you dropped out because now I'm targeting you. I can get really custom in what that looks like itself. So these 3 are some examples we'll go through again. This is really, really hard to see, so I don't expect that you'll see it. But what we've done here is your original data extension and then all the different decision splits and the breakouts and times and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera in it. But what was happening is we decided to send some of these emails in a 24-hour send. One, it helped our email health because basically instead of saying, what's the number on there? 136,000 are going to get an email at 9 a.m. They're going to get it in a 24-hour period. So it spreads it. That helps your email health in it. We were getting less people junking us in it. I don't know how much you guys know about email health, but we're sitting at a 90 out of 100. That's awesome. We were sitting at a 60. We were not doing very well. So we're doing really well. I'm probably watching that more than anybody wants me to watch it and probably have more arguments about that than I should. But I'm like, nope, that doesn't work. It's going to tank our email. But because now we're doing this stuff, the open rates are better. We're engaging folks more. We're actually getting people saying, hey, we didn't get that email. And then we say, well, it's because you weren't opening emails, right? Or we need you to do that. And so we're going to start building engagement campaigns to get folks back in to build in it. But what I like so much about this is the Einstein stuff. I'm not having to do anything with it. They are literally looking at the data based off of years worth of, we've been in it for 6 years, the years worth of emails that are coming through and how they're engaging, how they're clicking. I'm surprised sometimes what time I get my emails, but then when I think about it, I'm like, well, I got it. And I literally am looking at my email. So that makes a lot of sense. And then we can have these dates. Now, it does make our marketing team and our annual giving team have to plan a lot farther in advance because basically we say we have a week of testing. We need a week to build it. So they're 2 weeks higher than what they would be. But what is happening now is that these decision splits, and I know you can't quite see this, but they say engaged or unengaged, and they split out if you're not engaging with that email. Or you click this email, and we said, You clicked a College of Medicine email. Well, the next email is going to be the College of Medicine solicitation, right? You go from the generic solicitation for everything, give us one day, give it for giving, and now you click something that generates you to be in there, and now you're going to get that. Or we're going to build off of you're a medicine grad or communication grad, or you're band, you're going to fundraise for a band and you're a donor. We're looking at all that data in the CRM system that now is pushing it in to say, you no longer need to get one email that has, we basically had all these blocks, 19 blocks because we have 19 colleges. Well, if I'm the College of Social Work and it's in alphabetical order, I'm not seeing that unless I scroll multiple times now, right? And you can do this and build it to say, I'm social work and I'm arts and sciences. So I'm going to get 2 blocks. Or I click the arts and sciences. And so I'm going to get the arts and sciences email that truly builds into this. In addition to that, like once it's built, we realize that one day for UKs are giving, there are times that things need to change. Well, because this is built out a little bit farther, we got a lot of questions of like, well, what happens if we change? And, I'm like, well, we pause it. I mean, it's that simple to pause this piece and say, let's edit this, let's add this back into it. It also is as simple to say, now the dean is sending that email. So if you clicked on College of Education, the dean is sending it to you and it looks like them, right? And you can build all these filters and tracking. And we're not doing this right now, but we will eventually be able to set a reminder that says you clicked it and 12 hours later, you still haven't registered or you still haven't done the action. And you get the shopping cart model that says, hey, saw this in your cart, please come do this. Part of why we're not doing that yet is we're building a whole nother CRM because we are loving to just do technology things, but we're building a new CRM that launches next year. And that's one of the big things that are in it right now. We're kind of like, we've done a lot of the journeys and we're maintaining it. But as we build to this new system, we're going to build in things like that allow that more. And then the constituent groups, the event data. So we're going to be able to say, the annual events, you've come to homecoming for the last 5 years, you should get first right of refusal technically to register, or basketball tickets. If you all don't know, we're a basketball school. And so we're trying to build those pieces out and have that decision split itself. So yes, there is a lot of work that gets done on it from a marketing standpoint and a membership piece, but we are utilizing this Einstein data that is built into a system that if you have Marketing Cloud, you're paying for. So use it, right? In it. Okay, the other thing that this was what actually probably got emailed out for most of you all. This is really cool to me because who would have thought Saturday would do so well? Like we had been sending our newsletters at 8 a.m. on a Saturday and they were doing okay. And then we started doing send time optimization. Who's looking at emails at 8 a.m. on a Saturday? I don't know, but we started doing this and our open rates did well. We went from, I believe when I started, a 28% open rate, somewhere around there, or 20s to 50 something by doing this stuff. We also now, when we look at it, we've never really had the chance and opportunity to say, well, what day does it work? How many times do you all probably go to your tech folks and like, what time should we send an email? We want to send it this way. And they're like, oh, we have too many emails or we don't. When they come to me now, I have data to say that doesn't make sense. We shouldn't do I don't know what time actually, but we shouldn't do a Sunday. That's still a good open rate, but we shouldn't do a Sunday, right? Email, nobody's paying attention. But now I have that ability to see it. Also, what was cool was like, even though Saturday wins the open, Wednesdays, the clicks were much better, which is crazy because you have not a lot smaller, but a smaller open rate, but the clicks on Wednesdays were better. I have no idea why Wednesdays are better or what, but now when we need an action piece, Wednesday's the day to do it for us. It's to say, hey, I need you to register. So maybe the reminder is on Wednesday, not Saturday, not Monday, whatever that looks like. And before also, we were doing manual sends. I don't know why our team decided 11 a.m. was a really great time to do it. But 11, 2, 4, and 6. If you look back at our history, those were the 4 times that we sent emails out. Again, no scientific pieces. It was just something. Well, now we have basically personalized windows and we do 24 or 48-hour window, depending on how large the email is. And I'll call emails 48 hours. Anything under 30 is 24 hours. Anything under 10 could still do one of those time frames. That's kind of our 10,000, 20. Yeah, that's kind of our breakdown in it. And then we have made some rules, which maybe helps why Saturday does well, but newsletters are the only things that go out on Saturdays. on the weekends, I guess, technically in it. Any kind of marketing piece, we avoid that. Couldn't tell you why, but it becomes this time where on the weekends, you're just getting news about it from us. It's not a solicitation. It's kind of like you're having your coffee for breakfast and you're looking at our newsletter instead of a newspaper. But so from our side, this is really cool data to have and to prove to our teams why we do this. And we're having conversations right now about when should one day for UK be, and it's like, well, if you look at some of this, maybe it should be Thursday because people on Wednesday are doing stuff and then click, or maybe it's Wednesday. We get to look at this data and say, this makes a lot of sense. We should be sending more emails on here. We should do this. Partners, I know this is not a business development piece. Partners love this chart. I mean, it sells for me so well that our open rates are so good because they're like, why? Why would we do that? And a newsletter for us doesn't cost anything, but we charge $2,500. Like it's straight money. And then we pick, and then they'll be like, why'd you do that? I'm like, because my numbers say we should do that, right? And I don't have to guess on it. And then I hopefully don't have to deal with like, well, we didn't get opens. We didn't get da-da-da. Our partner rates are just as good as this because I think people are now because we're targeting them specifically of when they open email. So I definitely think the send time optimization is great. And I think as we develop more of the personas, I think we were talking about some of this, we will be able to say, to some degree, the younger folks are doing these things, the older folks are doing these things, the athletes are doing this, the College of Communications are doing this, and build these targeting pieces that are like, we're targeting you, the individual Christina, even though we might only have 10 personas, we're kind of watching you, Christina, in all these things. And we're going to put you in this bucket. But the reality is you're still going to get this customization to say you open emails at 1 p.m. and you like the subject line that looks a little bit different, or we've been trying the emojis. So that's what that looks like. Or no, it doesn't. It needs to be straight. I'm like, tell me what to do. That's Christina's persona, like in the subject line, and like register now. Right? Or the fluff, we hope to see you, like whatever that looks like in it. But it wasn't easy. And it definitely wasn't easy in our building because our implementation wasn't pretty. It was really, really hard. We did it during COVID, which was not the smartest move. And so when we were doing this, we left a whole system that I think were being used for 20 plus years to go into a CRM system that nobody knew about, that did all the training in COVID in houses, which do not recommend that, and hopefully never do that in COVID or have COVID again. And so it was really hard to get the buy-in on that. Now we're lucky, I think, that we have a tech team in-house that was able to help us. We have a good partnership with marketing, a good partnership with membership, and we were able to have that piece. So the biggest thing, maybe not so much internally, but we sent emails for all colleges that anything that goes to an alumni or a donor base, our team sends it. And we internally have a lot of conversations about where we're going, what's next. All these other people were like, they're just the email senders. Like, we need you to send an email. I don't care anything about your data. I don't care about what you guys are doing or anything. So convincing them that this is the right thing to do was really, really hard. And so the obstacle to us wasn't actually building the emails. It wasn't actually building the journeys. It was telling people that if you listen to us and you follow us, you'll get better open rates. You'll get more engagement. You'll get more people actually receiving the emails because it's not going to now say we're junk, or it's going to get filtered out. It's going to get into piece. And also with this, we're doing some data cleanup because we're getting new data, we're doing new information, we're learning more about their behaviors that we can share with you guys. We're including our engagement metrics in there. We're working on an engagement score that says you open emails. And on the philanthropy side, that means hopefully more dollars for us. It means better targets, better prospects in that. So getting the buy-in was really, really hard. So we, and my team too, we have a group and Shelby here that works with our colleges. We went on a tour and met with a lot of colleges and they weren't happy with us. They were not fun. And I was like, oh, you all hate us. It was very interesting to hear the things they were saying to us. And so we took a lot of time to convince them that, like, I know that this is different. You've been doing this forever, but trust us in some ways. Trust us in the engagement that we're doing at events. Trust us in the marketing communications, and trust us in this data. And if you all, trust is a hard thing to build, right? Like once it's gone, it's gone. And so we've worked really, really hard to build that trust. But what it took was people getting more people at registry for events, people realizing that they were missing out on emails because, you know, they were like, oh, so-and-so got this email, or I saw this. And then they were asking to update their data, or then they were asking, for us, basically as soon as an email goes out within like an hour, they're like, hey, tell us how many people opened it. I'm like, that's not how this works. But then as we were showing, like, okay, historically, this is what you were getting. Now you're getting this. Unfortunately, we lost our data person. He went to a Duke, which makes me mad if you're a UK person. But he built these really cool dashboards for us, and we were able to show, like, this is what college of communication emails look like now and what they look like 6 months ago. They didn't look good. And so we did all these things to like prove what that looks like. And so now I think we have the buy-in. I'll hold myself accountable. My team may not think that, but I feel like we've got the buy-in. We're trying to be creative. We're trying to build what that looks like. In addition, we had to change the mindset because our engagement was thinking about people that graduated, that were under 40, graduate 10 years ago. The events that we were doing was all about that. And so that's what we were looking for. But what we realized was those people were coming to other events. They were doing the things, even though we said, this is a young alumni event. It wasn't just a young alumni event. And honestly, we couldn't afford to just do it a young alumni event itself. And so we had to change the mind shift that it's not about the event that we're doing or the activity we're doing. It's about reaching them where they're at and what they want to do. So, and so that mind shift was hard. It's still hard. We have this conversation quite a bit in our office, but I think we felt like, let's get a little uncomfortable in this. Like, if we're going to look at what the future looks like for us, yes, young alumni are important, but so are the current database that we have. And those folks need to be able to help mentor. Those folks need to be able to help recruit and bring them in. And so we need that cross events, cross communications, but we got to reach them. And so that change of mindset still there. And then trusting the process probably makes a lot of sense because we also went from, I want to say we sent almost 1,000 emails last year. I can't remember the exact number. And we almost cut that in half because we started doing these processes. And so things like reminders, now you don't get the reminder if you haven't engaged with us, right? We're doing that piece of it. So it's not just everybody going out. I feel like 1 month we sent like, not the amount of emails, but I guess the amount of sends, not emails, was like over 1 million in a month. And we were like, what are we doing? Who needs 7 emails from us? Why? I mean, and then our staff, like even myself, I was getting so many emails from our own. I was like, I'm tired of looking at them. Like, and so we really needed to build and say, okay, we got to have less people getting emails. Again, email health was really horrible. And how do you bring those stakeholders to believe it? Because also there's a mentality, right, of like, you gotta send 1 million things because they get that one person. But the reality was we could send less as long as you're doing it correctly or doing it in an engagement format. You're using the data that we have. And so I'm not going to say it's perfect. We have some folks that are still frustrated. We actually, last week, I had a conversation with somebody that's like, we're just going to buy our own system. And I'm like, no, you're not. But give me some time. Let me show you how this works. Let's start from the very beginning. Let's get the buy-in. Let me show you the back end. Let's build everything with you. Let's change 1 or 2 things to see if it works. So we might have changed the way the subject line started, right? We might have changed, instead of doing the normal 1 p.m., we put a 12-hour send time for them on it, right? And we figured out and it comes with challenges. Like we do ticket sales in limited amounts. We can't do that in a send time optimization, right? The person that gets it at 2 o'clock versus the person that got it at 8 a.m., they're yelling at me. And so we had to make some decisions like that. Basketball ticket sales is one of those that everybody gets it. Good luck, have fun with that, right? But things that don't matter, don't have a cap, let's build what that looks like and build into it. And honestly, from like a event standpoint, it means that those questions come in varying times than everything at once. The very first, I forget, one of our really big events, all the emails started coming in and I was like, I can't answer this quick enough. Like to say, we still have tickets. Yes, you're fine. Or the rolling phone calls that come through. So that also helped our teams with kind of the pace of what we were doing in it. So it's still a challenge. And every time we put somebody in, it's a challenge. And we're actually about to go through this probably all over again because we just had a centralization of our marketing departments and everybody has to use Marketing Cloud now and everybody's going to have to deal with me. And we got to do some data cleanup. So like, that's the stuff now they're like, well, we had Emma and it did the X, Y, and Z, or whatever other tools they have, right? And I'm like, okay, that's great. We can do those things and all this, right? And by the way, the data across campus now is correct. No longer your Excel spreadsheet is sitting there like potentially getting updated. We are updating it together. We are tagging that you have a kid. We are tagging that you're a college, whatever that looks like now that everything's getting it now. That project is very thankful for that project, and it's being headed by our like University of Kentucky Chief Marketing Officer. So that is going to help us. So that buy-in's awesome. But that buy-in came in because we are proving ourselves to actually do this and build it and not be worried about tanking our emails so that they can worry about the student side. And then what's happening too on that is now that we're in the same system and we're tracking that, their tracking of the students in that system when they become an alums comes to us too. So that engagement in that STO is now also coming to us of what now I think student life and alumni life are a little bit different, but we're now going to be able to reach them in that same capacity and quickly to say, you're already getting emails this way. Now it's coming over. And instead of it being University of Kentucky, it's University of Kentucky Alumni, right? Association in it. So for me, what I really would say to you guys is I was thinking through this is why not try it? If you have the technology, if you have the time, if you have the pieces, give it a try at a very small scale, right? Take it from the folks that maybe are attending an event and give them the first right before you go to somewhere else that feels customized. Thank you for coming. I would love for you to do this, right? And just see how maybe that customization in a small scale will help you engage more. So think about the segments that you're doing. Doesn't always have to be on graduation year. It could just be somebody that always buys football tickets. You're going to send them a little bit of a different message when you're going to the tailgate. Instead of saying, everybody come to the tailgate, you guys as past attendees, please come. And that will generate more. So you're segmenting out to that specific so that you can customize that message itself. If you guys can figure out adding the birthday email, highly, highly recommend it. We are also doing donor anniversaries, Wildcat Society, I guess not everything, but that I think will make a game changer too. That one's not quite automated yet because there's our gift receiving's not in our system. Why would you have that, but eventually that will be something really cool to say, hey, it's your anniversary of your first donation. Would love for you to give again. Right? Like how cool is that for us to know that you gave and this is where you gave and now you're going to get that asked again because somehow you were passionate about that and you decided to give to us. But if you can do a birthday email, I have been super, super surprised by that. This year, what we've also done is now those come from the dean. So your dean of your college is doing it, or I think eventually we're going to do your gift officer. So all that stuff can be customized because those are fields within the system, right? And that will be, now I've had a little bit of a battle internally. It's like the Alumni Association should still send that, right? But we're all one team. Let's hopefully still continue to build that. But how cool is it to say, man, my dean sent me an email on my birthday. Come on. And then if you're in Marketing Cloud, do a simple journey. Like basically just do a journey that puts a send time optimization on it. That's where we started. We started off with basically the same email that I was going to send. Instead of saying at 10 a.m., I just put a 24-hour send time optimization and we just watched it go. It's not any harder than a general send. I say that, I guess I don't know for other people, but for me, it takes no time to basically say that. And actually now in journeys, because we use it so much, I have a template. I just copy the journey and then I drop the email and I drop the segment in and I schedule it. And it's very, very simple. It's easy piece of it. But I would start off with that. And that's how we started winning people over, by doing the very simple send time optimization to say, let's do a 12-hour, not 11 a.m. 11 a.m. I'm going to lunch. I'm thinking about what I'm having. I'm like text messaging our team, where are we going? And then track your wins. Like this was something we didn't do very well. We would be internally talking a lot about it and loving it. And then we realized we're not telling people what we're doing well and how it's been. And so when we have a chance, we do it. Vince, who was on my team, he built this awesome dashboard. We could segment it on Wildcat Connection as our newsletter. So we could segment on the Wildcat Connection. We could segment it on the week. We could do it by the college. We could do it by the sender. And we were just starting to talk about that information. I was telling our executive director and she was telling her colleagues, and then their colleagues were telling their team. And then people were asking us like, what are you all talking about in this? And then I realized those people knew. The people we're actually working with were not hearing our story. And so we started talking about it. And then they were asking questions that then challenged us to do better in that. So I think definitely talk about the tracking of the wins. And I feel like a lot of us, we are so busy that we don't think about that win. You never like stop and say, oh, we just had a great event, or, oh, that email did really well, or we hit our goal, because really the next thing is the next goal, right? Like you hit it and then you're on like, oh, what do we do next? And so we realized talking about all that. So make sure that helps you with your building of the buy-in. So I guess my comment really is like, try some of these, try a very small level of it. And not only think about it in how you're creating your events and how your marketing is, think about the technology side of it and how that technology, if done right, saves a lot of time for you, but also engages in a different level itself. So I think that's my last slide. Oh, no. Oh, and then relationships. I think I'm a big person on our relationship side of it. So basically, as we built these things out, I was really thinking about, it's all about the relationship. It's all about making the connection. It's not really about the numbers technically. It's about them feeling like they are part of the university and that we know them. And so with this customizations and this kind of send time optimization, I do feel like people think, I can tell you there's people that come up to us and like, oh man, I got this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what we did exactly. Or, even the hi Christina instead of a hi Wildcats, that has been a big change because they felt like they knew us. Or sometimes people are like, yeah, it's my birthday. And I'm like, oh yeah, great. Happy birthday. Like you just kind of build those pieces into it. And by doing send time optimization, using Einstein, the AI technology is now built this more, I think, connection to them that they feel like the University of Kentucky knows who I am. They know what's going on, and we really don't. The technology does. So I think that's it. Yes. Any questions, I guess, for either one of us?
Hi, Nikki, East Carolina. When you segment for life stage, how are you collecting that information?
A lot of it's going to be about engagement, the event stuff. And it's right now, our biggest thing is probably around the demographics that you fill out when you graduate, the constituent groups that you're a part of. I think they're called affiliations in Marketing Cloud. And that's where we're doing it right now. Eventually, in the next edition of this, we'll have an engagement score. And that will help us a whole lot more. So we're building that right now and what clicks look like, what their engagement. But because the student data is also in Radar, Salesforce, we call it Radar. All that student data will be pulled over. And so we'll be able to customize to say, you were in band, you were in Chi Omega, whatever that looks like, your sorority life. You played a sport, you were part of this club. And that will be when I think, honestly, game changer for us for that younger audience, because that data, I think, will be like, oh, you were on the pickleball club, come to pickleball. So, but it's all built in. It's in Salesforce as affiliations right now, and that's where we build a lot of that out of.
Hi, my question's for Danny. So you had mentioned that you do programming for graduating students to prepare them for the alumni life. And I feel like a lot of the programming we're doing for graduating seniors is celebrating them and celebrating that milestone. What does some of that programming look like that does that preparation piece?
Here we go. So I talked about career chats with Forever Buffs. That's one of our favorite new ways that we're getting alumni back on campus, and we're giving them a taste about the kind of things that they can be chatting with alumni with before they leave school. So career chats, it's almost like speed mentorship where everyone comes, they get to enjoy a little bit of appetizers, and we give them questions and things to talk to alumni about. So they're in person asking like, how do you move to a new city? How do you update your LinkedIn? Things that are very career focused, and they're already starting to think about where they need that help while they're still at school. And then after that event, that's where we might recommend them to the Forever Buffs Network Mentorship Program, where even after they graduate, they can continue to ask questions, or they can go on the Forever Buffs Network and explore on their own. So if you go onto our directory, someone's profile will show you, I'm willing to help you open doors in the industry. I'm willing to help you talk about grad school. So when you're requesting help, you're being able to be very specific about the type of things that you need help with. So Our student send-offs and our grad bashes, they've not only become a celebration, but we also have a next step and an action item that they can take. So they're getting information while they're also super excited and having a fun drink or two.
Great, thank you.
You have time for one more question.
I had a question about managing, we're talking about putting on engagement filters and things like that, specifically that can potentially lower your overall audience. How did you manage the conversation when it comes to business development, specifically if they have clients that are willing to pay per email address, per audience size, things like that?
For me, I realized that we were selling our stuff out for really cheap, honestly. Like when you work, so we partner with our JMI, which is like Get Learfield and stuff like that. And they were talking about like how cheap we were. And I realized like, oh, we are. And so as we were making some of these changes, what we have been really saying is like, we didn't change our pricing, even though we're doing less. We just talked really about the engagement, the open. So we talked a lot about of like, hey, we could have sent 160,000, but they weren't opening it. So like, isn't it better to get more people that are opening it, more people that are engaging in it? And even though we're sending less, that open rate was that's the seller for us. And then the click rate was higher. So even though smaller segment, the impact was higher, the engagement was higher. And that's been for me so far has been a fairly easy conversation in that. And we have some that like, well, technically it still gets sent to them. Like it goes through the filters and everything. And so if anybody really wants us to not do it, we can have that conversation. But they've loved the numbers and they've seen real action to that to say, okay, well, yeah, we are getting better clicks and opens and stuff like that. So I lean more into not the amount that you're actually sending to, but how many people are actually receiving it.
Let's give Danny and Christina one more round of applause. All right, y'all, the buses are already here, so please make your way outside as quickly as possible. The buses are going to run from 4:30 until 4:45 back to the Graduate Hotel, and then we'll get about an hour break before the buses are going to start picking up at the Graduate at 5:30 to take everyone to dinner. Thanks, guys.